you'll know that our Visiting Fellowships program is open for next year. And there are 3 types of fellowships that we have available. So I'll just go through this quickly. Really, the session is about you getting to know us a little bit and thinking about whether this is a place you'd like to spend some time. The faculty has 3 fellowship programs, one in humanities, one in sexuality studies, and one in social sciences. They're all funded by bequests. And Shark is in charge of one, the sexuality studies, and I'll introduce you to Joseph Toltz in a minute, who's looking after the other 2 fellowship streams on behalf of the faculty. So here we're looking for fellows who are outstanding researchers in the humanities, sexuality studies, and social sciences relative to opportunity. So if you're not from Australia, that's a phrase we use in an Australian research context to say that whenever we judge CVs, we judge them relative to where you are in your career. So again, we would have different expectations of a senior researcher who's been post-PhD for 15 years and had lots of research opportunity, as opposed to somebody who's a couple of years out from their PhD. So it's always that it's relative to opportunity. We understand that people have career disruptions. We also understand that some of you some might be coming from institutions that themselves have less opportunity for research than others. So the requirement is an institutional affiliation to a university or an equivalent research or cultural organisation. So we're quite interested in bringing people in to the University of Sydney who perhaps from other organisations. So you have to have a higher degree or some other equivalent professional or community experience. And that might be that your community recognises you as a leader in some way. So we're not open to PhD students. These are not PhD fellowships, but we are open to people that are coming from outside university contexts. And we want to see some kind of track record, research publications, external grants, success, but again, only as appropriate, only if they are the appropriate measures for the kind of research you do. And again, some of you may come from worlds in which there are different kinds of measures for what leadership or burgeoning leadership looks like. The only requirement, if you just need to take it up, if you've given a fellowship for 2026, we'd like you to take it up and in that year. The fellowships are like a piece of string. They're as long as we can make them. There's limited money, so we usually tag the money to the amount of time that people are here and where they're coming in from. But we like you to be here between March and November because from December to February, the university is fairly quiet because it's not a teaching time. That said, we have run some institutes in February, and particularly the sexuality studies stream. We find that when we invite people to come in February, it's Mardi Gras in Sydney, we're running an institute, it all comes together very well. But other than that, you would need to work it out with your academic host. When's the best time to come to do what you need to do? And again, it's up to a month, but some people come for 2 weeks, some people come for 3 months, particularly if funding from their own home institutions. Sydney is a nice place to be any time of year. But sorry, this is my friend Emily. Emily is the executive officer here at Shark, and we're here alone today on what is a cold, well, not alone, but on a cold day. So apologies.
Beautiful blue sky.
Yeah. Okay. The next one. Yeah. So there's not financial support is a small part of these fellowships. It's an important part. So there's a grant and aid that we give you, and that covers your return. It's nominally to help you with your return travel and accommodation while at the University of Sydney. And its value is awarded. We usually work it out when we can. So with the Hunt signs, just to give you an indication, we have up to $50,000 to do on fellowships, and we can cut that amount any way we like. And we often try and get as many fellows in as we can. And we find that when we tend to offer more money to junior fellows than senior fellows, because our understanding is that senior fellows have access to other research money. So again, there's all sorts of things in play there, but the grant and aid the nice thing about it is you don't have to present receipts on that, so it just comes to you as a grant and aid. So often, again, if you have access to other money, it's quite nice to know that this is just a one-off grant that comes to you and can cover anything you need it to cover without you having to receipt it back to the University of Sydney. While you're at Sharky, we've got very nice offices And we have a open plan workspace with a number of hot desks there. So for us and for fellows, the nice thing about that is it means that you get to meet people in the duration of your fellowship. There's a dog in the office most days. She's over there in the corner. Asleep, but so that's it. We think we provide a warm environment, but we also ask that at Shark that the fellows are hosted by a FAST researcher. So again, so that we're not your sole social contact while you're here in Sydney. There'll be another academic that is working with you. And Shark, again, if you come into Shark as a sexuality studies fellow, and we look at what the program of activities you're planning, and we can lean in some additional support if you've got impact and outreach activities that we're interested in supporting. So that's us. So they're not, they're, what I'm told is for junior fellows coming in often, and I think I'll try and demonstrate to you this later, the value is often being in Shark and meeting other researchers and being mentored by other researchers here at Shark who are not the same as your mentors at your home institution, but might have a different perspective on your career and where it's going.
Okay, great. Did you want to jump in and speak a little bit about, we've spoken on sexuality studies and being hosted in Shark, but what it might look like for the Gilbert and James fellowships?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you both for hosting this important information session. The Gilbert and James fellowships will be hosted by the Faculty Research Office. I'm the Manager of Research Support in the office. Both of these will be a single fellowship for either a early career or mid-career researcher. In Australia, that's defined early career is 5 years or less, and mid-career is 5 to 15, and we will also take into account any significant career interruptions. What we'd like to do is currently at the moment, we have some priorities in the faculty, research priorities covering climate, environment, health and society, inequality and justice, and AI and digital societies. But these are being covered by flagship centres at the moment, and it's our intent in the faculty office to focus the Gilbert and James awards on areas that may not necessarily, disciplines that may not necessarily directly address those. So to help those disciplines not necessarily in those contexts. It's not a hard and fast rule, but if you're working in other disciplinary foci, then we would be very keen to have you apply. Something that we also very strongly recommend is that you have or start to have a very a well-established, well, you can't start, but you have an established relationship with a researcher at the university in our faculty, so that you can have somebody on the ground who is going to talk to us about the value that you will bring here to our faculty in terms of broadening our horizons with your knowledge. So that's really important, and that's probably about all I want to say about the awards. But we're very excited to be able to offer just one in both of those, because they're not as lucrative as the Hunt Symes, but they will bring in they will enrich us and enrich you, and that's what we're mostly keen on doing. Okay?
Thanks, Joseph.
Thank you.
Yeah. So again, the role of academic hosts, particularly for the sexuality studies fellowships, we really want these to be about collaboration with somebody coming in who wants to work with someone here on the ground at Sydney. So, and because of that, we asked the nominated fellow to contribute to the application process by providing a statement of support that will endorse that there's some planned activities that, they don't have to be much, but that they'll be, that they're authentic, that there's a genuine collaboration at the heart. And that host who is important, they work with us and any other relevant centre to ensure the impact of the fellowship. And they also share the post-fellowship reporting responsibilities. So again, for us, it really is about collaboration. So with the Hunt Symes, and again, Joseph, you're welcome to stay, but also if you need to disappear, you're welcome there. We interpret sexuality studies very broadly. as broadly as you can imagine it. So, so we've had lots of people working on lots of different things from different disciplines. So don't, if there's anything in the project that touches on gender, sexuality, the methodologies of these things, sexology, anything, and then it's, you can pitch it into the space. And particularly we're interested in early and mid-career sexuality studies researchers who are interested in research collaboration, interested in research impact, interested in different methodologies and strategies for ensuring impact. And I'll just talk to you a little bit about this, so it helps know, again, to think about SHARC, what our mission is, and what, we're a centre, and one of our main levers for developing the centre is the Hunt Syme Fellowship. So we use it to, I think a lot of the things we've done since I've been director, and of course the last 3 years, has been into the diversity, equity and inclusion space. I have a background in sexuality studies. It's pretty library-based research desk work, but in SHARC, it's much more about collaboration and building bigger projects. And I said today is the 50th anniversary of JAWS. So just remember, SHARC, always moving. So I'll give you a few examples of some projects that have come in. So this is one of the projects that we've been doing lately for the last 3 years that is associated very strongly with one of our fellows from 2023, Xavier Ho. It's developing a game for diversity, equity and inclusion. So it's a storytelling game designed for use in New South Wales classrooms. So with Xavier, who we met when he came in for HISC, Xavier is an interactive designer. He's got a big interest in games. He one of the things he did for us was he curated an exhibition up at the SCA Gallery across World Pride of 25 games from queer independent game makers across the Asia Pacific. And that got us, SHARC, got us a lot of attention. He also did a light mural for us that featured in World Pride, and we had a couple of other events that happened in World Pride, and that fairly instantly put us on the map around what we call HISC. We did a summer institute in sexuality studies, and we used the Hunt Syme Fellowship Scheme to bring in researchers from around the world. And then we found another request where we could bring postdocs and PhD students in for a 2-week institute across Mardi Gras, across World Pride, and we did that for 3 years from 2023 to 2025. And Wishmakers has come out of that, working with Xavier on that project, and it continues to generate a lot of more activities and funding and engagement strategies for us. So that's one example, a game that we're interested in. And thought we'd show you a current host. So Amanda Denny's would have been here today, but she's on a plane back to the US. So Amanda is a fairly new professor from communication at University of Connecticut, and she came to work with Mandy Henningham. So they did this little video for us about what it's like to be a fellow at SHARC, and what's the relationship between the fellow and the academic host. Okay.
The highlights of this opportunity is the chance to work.
Let me know if this echoes.
Okay.
Can't hear it.
No.
Every time.
It's all right.
Let me try and mute your big screen, and then let me know if you can hear it.
Together with the data to go through the themes to kind of see what it looks like together. That's what is the best part of this experience, I would say. So yeah, we've been able to meet every week to chat about our project. It's allowed us to make a lot of really good progress. It's part of the reason we need to do multiple papers, is because we've had such generative sessions together. So yeah, do you want to say a little bit more about like the process and what we've actually been doing?
Yeah, so when we kind of first started to really dig through the data, we both took a sample of it each and coded it ourselves just to sort of see what kind of was coming up for both of us when we were going through the data, and we found a lot of the same things, which is always what you want doing qualitative research. And it all just came together really well. We got some really great key themes that were starting to emerge. And so then we started thinking about, okay, well, how can we then theorize this data? What can we do with it? what's it kind of speaking to? And so then we had a little bit more of a look into that, and that then informed the writing process. So once we sort of agreed on some ways in which we can theorize it, we went forward and started doing some drafts, and we've just sort of been taking the drafts back and forward and working on it together. And it's been a really, really seamless process, actually. It's been really fantastic.
And I think that's one of the coolest things about the fellowship too, is getting to work with people who have like complementary research interests. So part of the reason I reached out to Mandy originally is because I didn't have much experience in qualitative data analysis, but I had this data that I knew had something in it that was interesting, and I knew that Mandy had that expertise. And so that's what's really cool too, is to be able to kind of trade expertise and to share our backgrounds and our experiences, mine more with the biosocial and some of the quantitative analyses that we'll do in the second paper, Mandy with the qualitative. So yeah, it's great if you can find a faculty collaborator who you can each bring something really unique to your project. I think that's the best situation to be in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So last things I'll mention, one of the other great things about the fellowship is just the chance to meet other people on campus. Obviously I have a wonderful faculty host, so, and everyone at Shark has been wonderful, but another really nice component is every time I tell people what I'm working on or other projects that are separate from this one, someone will say, oh, you have to meet this person in another department. So it's been nice. I feel like most weeks I have a meeting with someone else on campus, and then sometimes those meetings lead to other meetings. And so it's been really nice just to connect with different faculty, connected with Shark. Some of them aren't connected with Shark, but yeah, it helps you build that sense of community with the campus. I guess I'm excited about other future research opportunities. So yeah, it's been great. I'm really sad to leave. It's been a wonderful few months at Shark. I would encourage you to spend as much time here as you can, because time does fly by. And we have a lot that we still have to work on, but a lot that we've accomplished. And yeah, it's just been great building relationships with Shark, and I hope to continue working with Shark, and that this is just the beginning of many collaborations. And yeah, I'm hoping to ideally come back to the University of Sydney in the future and keep working on these projects and many more.
Right, so that's Amanda, who is on a plane back to the US today. So Amanda, I think she was staying in Bondi while she's here, so that's a nice place to stay, but it does take about an hour and 10 to get here. She would come in maybe, I think she said she'd come in 1 day a week, and by the end she was coming in 3 days a week. I think it's a nice place to work. Again, we try to look after our fellows. We check that they're tapping into everything that Sydney, the city, can offer them, and everything the university can offer them. And just to give you a sense, if you're from away, haven't been to Sydney before, this is a very large university. I think it's one of the largest universities in the world. I think Toronto is larger, but we have 75,000 undergraduate and graduate students, and we have a lot of staff. So, and I think I know a lot of those staff from FAST and Arts and Social Sciences, but also around the university. So I'm sure that will be a challenge for me. I'm sure there's somebody that you need to meet here that you don't know yet. And I'm the person to introduce you to that. And we have lots of friends who will ensure that you need, the things you need to see. That might be an AFL game at the Sydney Cricket Ground. But we will, it is the whole wraparound service that we make sure that you feel welcome in here. And again, it's not that we want to chain you to a desk here at all. We just want to make sure that this is a good experience for you. And one of the things that we think if a fellowship is successful, then we would expect to see that fellow return. Right? We would expect to see them come back, like Xavier. And I've got one more example of somebody who I think of as a successful early career fellow. So Indigo came to us in 2024. Then she was an affiliate at Griffith University where she did her PhD, but she had no underlying position. So just to give you an example, so Indigo has always been a contract researcher, and she came to us offering us a project that we were interested in on skateboarding, and she was working with Sana Maestrom from the Sydney College of Arts and Leanne Loman from the Architecture and Design around creative play. And Indigo does a lot of work with social enterprise, including Skateistan, which is a large global social enterprise that uses skateboarding for young girls' education purposes. So I think Indigo came, I think we found her a little bit of money. She came, she was actually moving to Sydney from Griffith, and now she gave us so much in the time that she was here that we just have her now as a kind of ongoing affiliate to Shark. So we don't pay her money anymore, but I think that what Indigo would tell you is the important thing is that she felt that she was mentored for the first time in her career. So again, we have this, I don't know if you know this, but it's often post-PhDs, people realize, how is it that I've come through an entire PhD program without understanding the university and without understanding the research landscape? And I think we have worked really hard with Indigo. We think she's full of promise. She's perennially youthful. She took up, just to give you an idea, she took up skateboarding aged 40. Right, and now she was here, and it was a very good year for her to be here. She came back in the Olympics year when skateboarding became an Olympic sport for the first time. So we worked with our media and communications team, and we generated a lot of media attention on the back of Indigo's work. So, and I think at some point Marcoms ran us a media report to say that the media coverage that Indigo had made across the Olympics was worth $63 million to the University of Sydney. So again, that's a metric that you might not have in your career horizons yet, but it was a very good one for us. Marcoms now look to us all the time. They're always asking us, who are your incoming fellows? Is there some media piece that we can wrap around you? And again, so we're widening notions of success, right? That's what there's different ways of thinking about research, and research impact is a very galvanizing one. So Indigo, I said she did a pop. We managed to contact ask the director of the Chow Chak Wing Museum on the campus. Would he let us put up a pop-up skate park outside the museum? He's a great guy. He said yes straight away. And again, we got a lot of media attention because she brought in her skate community onto the campus. A lot of differently abled skaters, a lot of Indigenous skaters that came in, and that gave us a photo opportunity, and it gave them a lot of attention. So she works on a lot of the Consent is Rad, Skateistan, a whole lot of social enterprises that we were very interested in tapping into and by her. So she did a book. She's very, for someone who's never had media training, she's a very natural to media. So again, she operates as an independent scholar. So she's never had a continuing position in her career. She finished her PhD in around 2011. And so we are very keen to nurture her. We understand that she's a social enterprise that we want to succeed. So I'll just give her, so she came in to participate in HIS, and she did a 2-hour workshop for us on skateboarding and inclusion. So that's back in 2024. Again, she's done several things. I just wanted to show you what's come out of that fellowship on the next slide. So again, I worked with her. She put in a couple of small grants while she was here, some internal grants, some city grants, some other Australian organisation grants. She's done some publications, but it's two things at the end there that I want you to see. So we helped her write an Australian Research Council DECRA postdoctoral fellowship application that's under review at the moment. So if she got that, that would be $800,000. So that's a lengthy grant application. I think it came in at about 56 pages. So that's a big ask, but we helped her write that. So that's one thing that came out of that for her that's under review. And we also do another grant to the Olympics Advanced Research Program for $25,000. And Indigo wrote to us yesterday. She's currently in Europe on a Churchill Fellowship, which we also helped her write, which she won. She got a notice from the Olympics Foundation that she's got that grant yesterday. So you might come here, you might be just starting out, not knowing where your career is going. We are very interested in people who have different approaches to research and who want to learn from us and provide us different levers for thinking about research impact. So just in terms of, again, of the Huntsheim, in the first year we did it, we were very successful in using Twitter. And I think we had more applications as we had nearly 50 applications. Last year we didn't have Twitter, so we had fewer applications. And again, the success rate is very high because we did a lot of HIS fellows. We were bringing people in for the final HIS. And so we were bringing in people and only giving them $5,000 a year. They were all happy to come back across Mardi Gras and participate in HIS. So that's an unusually high success rate. But we had 20 the applications came from 20 different institutions. You can see from Europe, from America, and we would really like to see more applications from the region, which we do with HIS. We often reach out into regional universities to bring people in. But you can also see the range of disciplines here. So mental health, Indigenous studies, all of these disciplines are represented in the fellows that we bring in. And again, so that's it. If it's very broad. The understanding of sexuality studies that we have represents all of these disciplines. The last one, yeah. So again, all the information is online, and again, if you don't know someone, if you don't have a academic host in mind, we can broker introductions for you. If you provide us, if you reach out to us, provide us an account of your research date and who you think it might be that you want to work with here, right?